Hello and welcome to today's video. This is my August TBR that I'm once again selecting using my Snakes and Ladders TBR board. So same as always, I'll go quickly over this, but if you want to see full in-depth rules, up above I'll link January's TBR game where I literally go over every little thing in detail. So here's the board. Land on a snake, you add a roll and do the prompt at the bottom of the snake. Land on a ladder, you minus a roll and do a prompt at the top of the ladder. There are 4 silver ones, which if they are ever landed on, I will explain them. And then the colours across the board are related to prompt cards. Every month I start the board off on the square that I finished on the previous month. As standard, I roll 6 times, obviously with the ability to add or minus rolls depending on how many snakes and ladders we land on. I use an 8-sided die to see how far I'm moving each time. So I've just got my little die. I also have a little heart that I use as a counter. And then we have prompt cards. So each colour corresponds to one of the colours on the board. So purple is visual, so these are just things that are like visually a part of a book. Pink, we have genre-ish, which again basically genres of books, but it's ish because not all of them are technically genres. Blue, we have game, which means there's some sort of like gamified aspect to pick the book that I will be reading if I land on one of these prompts. Orange is type, and that is just like the type of book that it is. It will dictate if it's like a paperback, a hardback, a standalone, a sequel, so on and so forth. And last but not least is green, which is other, which are basically any prompts that I thought up that didn't fit into any of the other categories, any of the other 4. So such as this one I've picked up now is buddy read, and yeah, just prompts that didn't fit into any of the other categories go into the other category, and that is that. So I think that's everything I needed to talk about and mention. This is obviously the TBR for August, and I do the rolls and then I'll talk about the books. I did also quickly want to mention at the start of this, I am running a flash sale this weekend on my Etsy store, 50% off all mystery books with code FLASH50. I will put a graphic in here that gives all the information away and link the store down below, but I just thought I'd mention it as this is a bookish video. Might be interested, so there we go. And I did also want to mention that I am taking part in the magical readathon this month, well, in August. So at the end of this, after I've gone through the roles and what books I've picked for each role, I will also go through the magical readathon prompts that I need to complete and what books I'm using for each of those prompts. Let's get into rolling the dice. Okay, roll number 1 is a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is other. And the prompt for roll number 1 is most recently purchased. So as you just saw, the prompt for roll number 1 was most recently purchased, which was actually a very easy one to fulfill for me. I went to the bookshop a couple of weeks ago now. I've been trying to be really good with not buying too much this month, and I only allowed myself to buy 1 book, and that book was Carmilla, I think that's how you say it. This is one that I've been really excited about reading. It's like the original vampire book. It was written before Dracula, and I've just heard a lot of good things about it. So when I saw it in store, because I'd never seen it in person before, I've only ever seen it online, I thought I'd pick it up. So all that it says inside is, in an isolated castle deep in the Austrian forest, Laura leads a solitary life with only her ailing father for company. Until one moonlit night, a horse-drawn carriage crashes into view, carrying an unexpected guest, the beautiful Carmilla. So begins a feverish friendship between Laura and her mysterious, entrancing companion. But as Carmilla becomes increasingly strange and volatile, Prone to eerie nocturnal wanderings, Laura finds herself tormented by nightmares and growing weaker by the day. Predating Dracula by 26 years, Carmilla is the original vampire story, steeped in sexual tension and gothic romance. So yeah, that is book number 1, and I'm really excited about it. As I said, it will fulfill this prompt. Moving on to roll number 2. That is a 1. So moving 1 takes us on to this snake, which is +1, so we're now going to roll 7 times, and then we go down to the bottom of the snake, and it is pink, which is genre-ish. Genre-ish is non-fiction. So prompt for roll number 2 is non-fiction. Then for prompt number 2 we got non-fiction. Now for this, I wasn't too worried about it. I own a few non-fiction books myself, but I have not been letting myself buy any recently because I don't read them very quickly, and my boyfriend also owns mainly non-fiction books, so if I've really needed one or really wanted to read one, I can read his. But I'm trying my best to get through the books that I already own. And I've got a book that I purchased when I was 16 years old. I'm now 25. So I thought it's probably time to read it. And that is Battle at Alcatraz. So the author of the book is the son of one of the guards that was there, and this book is very much written as like an insider's perspective. So it's basically the escape that happened at Alcatraz, which is like the inescapable prison. I'm not going to read it because it's non-fiction, so me reading the back is just like basic information, but that is the book. I will leave it there. You can pause it now and read it if you would like to. But yeah, I thought it's time to read this one. I don't think it's going to be a very difficult read or a very long read, and I'm really interested in it. I actually brought this when I visited there with the intention to read it straight away, and obviously I did not, so we're going to read it now. Okie dokie then, roll number 3 is a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another pink one, so we're doing genre-ish, and that's a classic. Okie dokie. Classic for roll number 3. Then for prompt number 3, classic, I decided to go with a small one because I'm not very good at reading classics because I can find them quite dense. So I decided to go with Animal Farm because it is literally tiny. This book is only 95 pages, and I feel like the thing that often puts me off from reading classics is that they take a long time to read. Obviously you do have to think about them and read them more closely due to the language and the type of writing. So with a short one, I'm hoping that that will like take away a lot of the things in my head that put me off actually picking them up. So yeah, I'm going with Animal Farm from George Orwell, and I honestly think I'm really going to enjoy this one. It sounds really good. So it says, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Mr. Jones of Manor Farm is so lazy and drunken that one day he forgets to feed his livestock. The ensuing rebellion under the leadership of the pigs, Napoleon and Snowball, leads to the animals taking over the farm. Vowing to eliminate the terrible inequities of the farmyard, the renamed Animal Farm is organised to benefit all who walk on 4 legs. But as time passes, the ideals of the rebellion are corrupted, then forgotten, and something new and unexpected emerges. I think it's going to be really interesting, and obviously it's like a take on political climates as well, but in this very interesting way of it being from an animal's perspective. Obviously like, this could have been written using people, but I don't think it'd have the same impact as this is going to have, like just having these animals like discuss and take over and really be, well, they are the main part of the story. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to this one. Roll number 4 is a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is purple, which is visual. The prompt for that one is foiling on the book. Okay. Prompt number 4, we got foiling on the book. Yeah, foiling on the book. And this was a bit more difficult to pick a book than I expected. I honestly thought that a lot more of my books had foiling on them, but they don't. So what I've ended up going with is Six of Crows, and as you can see, the title itself is foiled, so that's why I'm going for this. I read Shadow and Bone earlier this year, but wasn't too impressed with it, to be honest. But I've heard that Six of Crows is a lot better, and a lot of people like love Six of Crows and hate Shadow and Bone, and I didn't hate it. So I'm thinking there's a fair chance that I will still like this. Like, it's a completely different story following completely different people, just in the same world. So yeah, I'm not going to read the back because although it's book one in a series, I think it takes place after Shadow and Bone, and I don't want to like potentially spoil anyone in case like you don't want to be spoiled. So that is the back of the book. If you do want to pause the video and read it, feel free to now. But essentially, starting after the Shadow and Bone trilogy finishes, we're following a criminal prodigy called Kaz, who's been offered a chance at a deadly heist. And I'm going to leave it as that, literally just that first line, because after that we start talking about like politics and courts and all that sort of thing, so obviously that could give things away. But I'm excited to read this, and I think it'll be a quick and easy read, to be honest. Like, although I didn't really love the Shadow and Bone books, like they weren't really for me, they didn't read amazingly, they were so quick and easy to read that I still had some level of enjoyment reading them. So yeah, I don't have high hopes for this, but I do think I'll at least enjoy it. Roll number 5 is a 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is green, which is other. So the prompt for roll number 5 is highest rated book. Okay, so roll number 5, we got highest rated book. However, my shelves are a mess, and to be honest with you, I don't keep a track of my books that I own on Goodreads, which is how a lot of people do this prompt. So as I was doing the rolls, I filmed a couple of little clips where I basically select some books off my bookcase that I'm interested in reading soon. So I'll insert those clips now, and then we'll talk about what the highest rated was. Okay, so these are the shelves currently. I'm going to just pick some books off that I want to read soon, and then we'll figure out the ratings for them and find out which one's got the highest rating. Okay, so these books here, there's 7 in total, are the ones that I've picked out. I'm going to go on to Goodreads, get the ratings for all of them, and one of these will be the book that I put on for this prompt. So you've just seen the clips where I show you all of the books, and basically I've put all those books into Goodreads and looked at the average rating. So Clockwork Princess, the average rating for that one was 4.56. In the Miso Soup, the average rating was 3.62. Darkness on the Edge of Town, the average rating was 3.57. The Girls I've Been, the average rating was 4.14. Artificial Condition, the average rating was 4.27. Assassin's Apprentice, the average rating was 4.17. And A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the average rating was 4.37. So the top rating out of those was actually the first one, with the average rating of 4.56. We've got Clockwork Princess, which is book 3 in the Infernal Devices trilogy, which means it's the last book, which will mean another series complete, which is something that I'm really excited about and really wanting to do. And yeah, the Infernal Devices, it's set in, I believe, Victorian England. Is it Victorian? I don't know. I'm not going to look into it now, but I believe it's Victorian England. And we basically follow a girl called Tessa, and she encounters shadow hunters and learns about that world, and there's a further mystery and things to solve and figure out. And who even is Tessa? That's a big part of this whole series, so I'm excited to continue it and finish it. So that is that. Roll number 6, which will hopefully be our penultimate roll, as we do have to roll 7 this time, is a 1. So 1, and that is Game. Oh, and that's wild card, so that's nice. So I'm happy with that one. Really lovely. Roll number 6 was Game, but we just got a wild card, which means I can pick absolutely anything I want. And the book I've decided to pick for this one is Kingdom of the Wicked. I picked this book up, I can't believe if it was very late on last year or really early on this year. And it's one of those that I picked up and I thought I was going to read straight away. And then the more things I heard about it, the more I was like, I'm not actually sure if I'm going to like this book, like when I read it. So I put it off and put it off, and I'm not going to put books off anymore. Like, I buy these books for a reason. If I'm not going to read them, they shouldn't be in the house. They should be like gotten rid of. So I'm going to give it a go because I feel pretty 50-50 as to how this one's going to go. So I might as well give it a try. I might as well start it. I might as well figure it out. It sounds really interesting on the back. I'm just worried it's going to read very young. So on the back we've got 2 sisters, 1 murder. A quest for vengeance that will unleash hell itself. Amelia and her twin sister Victoria are strigoi, witches, who live secretly among humans, avoiding notice and persecution, until one night Victoria misses dinner service at the family's renowned Sicilian restaurant. Amelia soon finds the body of her beloved twin, desecrated beyond belief. Devastated, Amelia vows to seek vengeance at any cost, even if it means using dark magic that's been long forbidden. Then Amelia meets Wrath, one of the wicked princes of hell. She has been warned against since she was a child. Wrath claims to be on Amelia's side, tasked with solving a series of murders on the island. But when it comes to the wicked, nothing is as it seems. So it sounds really interesting. It sounds like it could be really good. I really enjoy fantasy and I haven't read like a good witch book in quite a while, so I'm really hopeful about it. I am going to say now I'm not sure how to pronounce any of the names. I will need to look that up before actually starting it. I think I've guessed pretty well, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I'm hopeful about it, and when I read the back I'm hopeful. I've just heard that it reads quite young, but I don't know. So that is what I picked. Okay, and then what will hopefully be our final roll number 7 is a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is game again. And that is last letter, first letter for prompt number 7. And then, as we've just seen, I picked Kingdom of the Wicked for the previous prompt, and that ends in a D. So I just need us to remember that. So the actual prompt for roll number 7 was last letter, first letter, which basically means the last letter of the previous book is the first letter of the next book. So as I just said, last letter of Kingdom of the Wicked was a D. So I've gone for Darkness on the Edge of Town. This is book 2 in like a Stranger Things novel series, but I don't think you have to read them in any sort of order. It is book 2, but I don't think any of them are linked. They're all just linked to the TV show. So Darkness on the Edge of Town obviously begins with a D, the last one ended with a D, so that's how it fulfills the prompt. And it sounds interesting. So his last big case before everything changed, Hawkins, 1984. That's obviously like before a lot of things in the TV show happened. So Hawkins, 1984. All Chief Jim Hopper wants is a quiet first Christmas with his adopted daughter. But when Eleven finds a cardboard box marked New York, the tough questions begin. Why did Hopper leave Hawkins? What does Vietnam mean? And why has he never talked about New York? New York City, 1977. Returning from Vietnam to his young family and a new beat as an NYPD detective, Hopper soon slips back into civilian life. But after shadowy federal agents show up and seize files about a string of brutal unsolved murders, Hopper goes undercover to search for the truth. Just as he's about to crack the case, a blackout rolls across the city and Hopper is plunged into darkness deeper than any he's faced before. It's not necessarily appealing to me, honestly, but I've read book 1 of this series, which is also like another book based off the TV show, based off a different character, just like a little background. And I really enjoyed that one, and I enjoy the TV show, so I think although like the actual like contents, like what this book's going to be about, like if it wasn't linked to the TV show, some like random detective story, not really interested in. Because it is, I am interested, and I'm interested to learn more about the character, and that's what I think we're going to get here. So yeah, that's the book for prompt number 7. So those are all of the books that I'm going to be hopefully reading during August, and I think it's quite a good pile and quite an interesting pile with a bit of variety there as well. So now that's over, normally I'd end the video here. However, I do feel like I quickly do need to go over how I'm going to fulfill the prompts for the magical readathon. So for the magical readathon, I am a beast master. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I am this one. So that's what I need to fulfill, which means I need to get an O in elemental studies, a D in animal studies, an O in alchemy, and a Q in restoration. So I've wrote down all the prompts and I'm just going to tell you what books I'm going to use for them. So for elemental studies, I need to start a book with a drink. This can be any book. I just need to have a drink when I start the book, which will be fine. So I haven't wrote one down, but I will fulfill that. And then for animal studies, there's 3 that I need. So a book with a familiar or animal companion. I'm going to continue with my reread of The Subtle Knife. This is book 2 in his Dark Materials series. And they've got the audiobooks on the library and the audiobooks are really good. So I'm just going to use this one and continue it as like my audiobook to listen to for the month. Then I also need to fill the prompt Raven in the title / cover. I'm going to go with 6 of Crows for this. Obviously on this cover, this bird here, I don't know if you can even tell, but like this is the beak and this is a wing. It's a crow, but that's close enough for me. I'm okay with stretching these prompts a little bit. Yeah, it's not a raven, it's a crow, but they do look similar, and I had a quick look online and they are both from the same bird family, which makes them quite linked, and I'm going to go with it. And then last but not least, a book with a rabbit on the cover. And there's a book that I've been interested in for a while. It's like a little novella, and it's like got like a novella series, and it's called The Empress of Salt and Fortune, and it's available on Scribd. So I'm just gonna do that. It's a very short, tiny book, and it's got a rabbit on the cover. And then for alchemy, there's just 1 prompt that I need to fulfill here, and that is a book from someone else's worst books of the year list. So I went through a lot of these lists to try and find one that I was already reading, and Kingdom of the Wicked was on Emmy's worst books of the year list. So that's what I'm going to go with. It was already on my TBR and it's on someone's list, so I'm going to do it. And then last but not least, for restoration, there are 2 prompts that I need to fulfill. Prompt number 1 is a single object as the focus of the cover. So for this, I'm going to read Foul Lady Fortune. I've got an e-arc of this from NetGalley, and it's just got 1 single object in the cover. It's just this like perfumey bottle, or I'm thinking maybe a poison bottle. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to read that one because I want to get it read before the book comes out as well. And then the other prompt is one of the oldest books on your TBR. Now, I'm well aware that this means like the book that's been on your TBR for the longest, but it could be interpreted another way. It could be interpreted as like the oldest book on your TBR, and honestly it's more than likely this, which was published originally in 1872. So I'm just going to go with Carmilla. It might be pushing it a bit, but I want to fulfill the prompts, and I've already got a lot of books to read this month, so that is how I'm going to do it. So yeah, that is the entire video. I do really hope that you enjoyed it. Please do give it a like if you liked it. Subscribe down below if you'd like to see more content like this. I do these monthly TBRs every single month, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye!